Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Phil and Dave's Excellent Adventures. Just Dave here. Today we are talking about the movie Lou. This is going to be a spoiler review. So, if you are concerned about spoilers, I would suggest you go and watch the movie first before you watch this review. So, Lou is a movie that is currently streaming on Netflix. If you have Netflix, it's there, available to watch at any time. So if you'd like to watch it, go ahead. It's a movie about a woman whose daughter gets kidnapped by her ex-husband, and she has to rely on her landlord to help rescue her daughter. So, as far as what I liked about the movie, I thought overall the cast was really good. Allison Janney, of course, is always good. I believe she won an Oscar for I, Tonya. And yeah, she's gone on to do everything. Everything she's in is always good. Logan Marshall-Green, I'm a fan of his. He was on a show called Quarry that I used to watch that only had one season, I think, but it was a good show. I liked it. And he was in Spider-Man Homecoming briefly. So yeah, he's always good. I like him a lot. Ridley Bateman played V in this, the little girl. Thought she was good. It's always hard to find a good kid actor, and I thought she did a pretty good job. And Grayson Holt as Chris, her kind of boyfriend, the mom's boyfriend. He's only in it for a couple minutes, but I liked him. I thought he was pretty good. And then, of course, Ozzy and Jersey were the names of the dogs who played Jax, Lou's dog in the movie. So yeah, I thought the dogs were pretty good too. Overall, I really like the settings. It's set in the 80s in the Pacific Northwest in sort of an island, I suppose, off the coast of Oregon, Washington. I don't know if they specify. They probably do. They talk about a specific bay there, Eagle Bay, I think. Yeah, I like the opening where they sort of introduce us to the character of Lou, and we see what she's got going on, and we can see that she's clearly had a very interesting past with the government and everything else. The music overall, they open up early on at least with a Bon Jovi song, "Wanted Dead or Alive," which yeah, I think it fit the movie pretty well. And I kind of like Bon Jovi. Make fun of me if you want, whatever. And then there's Toto in here. They have a Hold the Line and Africa, and I think that's pretty much it for actual songs. I might have missed one, but yeah, good stuff. When I heard the Bon Jovi, I was like, all right, cool. We're in the 80s. We got it. We got the setting, and then Hold the Line is one of my favorite Toto songs. So yeah, I was stoked to hear that. And Africa is a bit overplayed, but fine. And then I was really hoping to get more. That's pretty much all we got, but still good stuff. I like that. Overall, I like the score in the movie as well as the actual songs and music. I like the direction and the cinematography. I think it looked pretty good. It looked professional, and there was some interesting shots. And the way it was sort of filmed was interesting to me. It looked good. The scenery in the Pacific Northwest is beautiful. I assume it was actually filmed there. I didn't look, but pretty sure it was, and it looked great. It looked like an interesting place to visit, depending on the time of year you were there. The fight scenes overall I thought were pretty good. Allison Janney handled them well, and they were well directed, where they were far enough back you could see what was going on. It wasn't a bunch of quick cuts, and it wasn't a bunch of close-ups and stuff, so I liked that. There's a part where she cuts a guy's neck with a soup can that I thought was pretty cool. I enjoyed that part. The lighthouse overall, as they're going through the movie, and I'm realizing, okay, where's the big showdown going to be, the confrontation for the third act? And they find like an abandoned ship on the shore, and I'm like, well, that's not big enough. This is the movie. You need something big. And they said, oh, the lighthouse. And I go, okay, there you go, lighthouse. Absolutely. I love lighthouses. It made sense for the movie. It was a good place to go. So I like that. I like there's a couple sort of callbacks in this, or setups and payoffs, where she explains the whole game on thing with the hide and seek with her daughter that comes up later in the story. The copper bracelet the sheriff is wearing that comes up later in the story as well. And then there's a part early on when Allison Janney first reveals that she's a spy to what's her name? Jurnee Smollett? No, the other one. Jurnee Smollett. When she refers to Jurnee Smollett that she's a spy, and she goes, I didn't know you were a spy. She goes, I'd be a pretty shit spy if I did. Yeah. And then she calls back that same line later. Jurnee Smollett calls that back to the FBI agents or CIA agents, whoever. I like that. That was cool. I like the language in this movie. It's rated R, so you get, the language that people would normally use when they normally speak. So I like that. And it wasn't overdone. It wasn't in your face. It wasn't just everybody screaming and swearing all the time. But if somebody needed to swear, they said the actual swear word that they would probably say in that situation. That wasn't like a weird TV thing when they go, ah, crap, or something like that. I like that. There is a twist in the movie that I did sort of like. Again, total spoiler. So if you are concerned about the movie, stop this review right now and watch the movie on Netflix. But there's sort of a twist that the ex-husband of this woman is actually Allison Janney's son. I didn't really see that coming. And it made sense once they revealed it, because she did reveal in her suicide note that she was going to leave the house to her and her daughter. And I just thought maybe she was just a old lady without any friends or family, so she just left it to them, even though she seemed like she didn't like them. She was actually secretly nice or something like that. But no, turns out that was her son, and she felt responsible, and that was part of why she was so upset, I think. So okay, didn't see that coming, but it did make sense once it did. I was like, okay. And I liked the ending more or less of the movie. The very ending where they sort of revealed that, oh, maybe she's not dead. It was a little predictable, I suppose, and maybe a little too Hollywood. It seems like the kind of thing that a studio would say, like, oh, we got to keep her alive because A, we don't want a sad ending, and B, got to keep it open for a sequel in case people like it. So yeah, maybe the sad ending of her actually dying would have been better, and it would have made sense because she wanted to die at the beginning. But I think throughout the course of the movie, she sort of found a reason to live, I guess, in keeping the little girl V and her daughter, or stepdaughter, alive. Fine. I liked it. It was good. As far as what I didn't like about it, yeah, I would say as far as the cast, the one that kind of stuck out a little bit was Jurnee Smollett. I think she wasn't terrible. She was actually, I think, mostly good. Most of the scenes I think she was in, she handled them quite well. There was just a couple scenes, one in particular, where they sort of take a break and she has to explain some exposition, and she kind of gets upset and explains why she was with this guy and everything. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't the worst thing ever, but I didn't buy it. It was kind of community theater level, and she was trying. I think she was really, doing her best, doing stuff with her hands and everything. But I didn't quite believe her in that scene. In particular, there were a couple other scenes where she was okay, just took me out of the movie just a little bit. The sheriff, the actor was fine. I had no problem with his acting, but the character itself was a little unnecessary, maybe. There's early on in the movie, I noticed there's a rain, and it's just very obvious that it's fake rain. At least to me, it looked fake. Now, granted, I know sometimes rain can fall oddly, and if you've got trees and stuff blocking it, that can happen. But yeah, pretty early on, there's a scene where there's a big bunch of rain coming down, like right here, and then no rain over there, and I'm like, okay, that's clearly just somebody with a hose spraying up. The middle of the movie is a little slow. It's a little boring. I really liked the beginning of the movie. When it first started, I was like, yeah, I'm in. This movie sounds great. And then as it kept going, I sort of liked it less, and I got a little bored in the middle there. Like I said, there's this kind of break scene where they're walking. She goes, oh, we need to take a break. And the woman's like, we can't. And she's like, no. And immediately I go, okay, I know why they're doing this from a storytelling perspective. You want to sit down for a second, explain some stuff, have some exposition, a little character development. But to me, it just seemed very obvious, like just I'm very obviously watching a movie. There's another scene with the butterfly with the guy and his daughter that it wasn't, at first I thought I was really going to dislike it because I thought he was going to kill the butterfly in front of her, and I just thought that was a little over the top. Instead, they had it a little different. They had her leave and sort of spy on him, and they still did it. And okay, it works. I understand why it was there to sort of show that he's a bad guy, and the daughter realized that he was a bad guy, but I would have liked a little more subtlety, I think, with that. And then the lighthouse, so he at some point rigs up the lighthouse with all these explosives, and then Allison Janney foils his plan with a radio, I think, and then she ends up blowing up the lighthouse. Now my issue with that is just I like lighthouses, man, and like that lighthouse is probably a couple hundred years old, at least 100 years old, and they serve a very important function. Now I know it's a movie and I shouldn't care about that, but I don't know. She like blew it up, not necessarily to kill the guy because that was her only option. She blew it up just because like, well, that'll let the helicopters know where we are, and it's like, yeah, okay, but you have to blow up the lighthouse. I don't know. That's just a personal thing, I guess. And the movie is a little too long. It's about hour 43, I think. And I think if they could have cut 10 or 15 minutes and got it hour and a half, it maybe would have been a little bit better. So other than that, the movie is directed by a woman named Anna Foerster. She apparently did Underworld Blood Wars, which I think was probably the third or fourth movie in that series, and some of the Outlander TV show. It was written by a woman named Maggie Cohn, who has done Narcos Mexico, a couple episodes of that, and an episode of American Crime Story. And I think she did something called The Staircase, which is probably good. It just has a funny title. It sounds like a fake thing, to me at least. And a guy named Jack Stanley, who I think this is his first thing. He's got a couple other credits of things that haven't come out yet, like The Passenger and Possession, A Love Story. And I've seen also Chronicle 2 listed in there somewhere. I don't know what's going on with that. But okay. Not exactly the highest credential, at least on my part. I've never seen Outlander. I've heard people like it. And actually, Narcos was fine, but I didn't watch Narcos Mexico. So there's part of the beginning where Allison Janney is, obviously setting up to commit suicide. And it reminded me a little bit of the book, A Man Called Uwe, which was written by Frederick Bachman, a Swedish guy, I believe. And it's about an old man who is ready to commit suicide because his wife has died and he's very depressed, but his neighbors keep interrupting him. And so he has to like stop. And so for a second, I'm like, wait, are they just ripping that off? And not exactly, but it almost seems like an action movie version of that. Like if you took that and mixed it with like John Wick or maybe First Blood or something like that, that's kind of what this movie is. So kind of a less, I don't want to say a less intelligent, but a more visceral and less contemplative version of that, which I believe they've already filmed that movie with Tom Hanks. And I think they changed the title. And I think it's supposed to actually come out in a couple months here, probably at the end of the year. So we've got that to look forward to, I guess. Other than that, I think the movie was okay. It started out good, and as it went on, I liked it a little bit less. I think, though, for a movie that you're staying at home, you're watching, on Netflix on a rainy Monday afternoon or whatever, not bad at all. So I think I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10 for this one. I was between a 6 and a 7. But yeah, I think I'm gonna end up with a 6 on this one. So if you saw the movie, let me know what you thought of it down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great night, and I will see you here again next week.